Boxing truth here. Let me bang out this video about the Charlo brothers and how a lot of fans are prisoners of the moment, bunch of dick riding, all impressed by that quick ass stoppage by Harvey Dock against Erickson Lubin for Jermell Charlo. I'm hearing Jermell is elite. He's a knockout artist. What the fuck? Let me tell you something right now, man. Boxing Truth is not impressed. I've never been impressed with Jermell Charlo. I'm still not impressed. Dude that hasn't wowed me in his entire career. He's a knockout artist all of a sudden because he knocked out some two weak-ass chin fighters and John Jackson. And a guy that was outboxing him. Bum-ass John Jackson was outboxing him. Then he lands a shot and the fight gets stopped. Knocks out a trash-ass Charles Hatley. I'm supposed to be impressed by that. I'm supposed to be impressed that he caught Lubin with a blind punch. He got up at 8, and the freaking Harvey Dock waved the count at 6, and he got up at 8. So that was an inconclusive result. Wasn't a satisfying result. So I'm supposed to be impressed. And prior to those fights, he looked like trash against Martirosyan, was dull against Gabriel Rosado, barely beat Demetrius Hopkins, knocked out bum-ass Dennis Duggan. Okay. So, you guys need to chill out when it comes to Jermell Charlo. But the fact is, these guys have a lot to prove. They still have a lot to prove in their campaigns. I wouldn't jump overboard and call these guys elite. I wouldn't say that Jermell Charlo beats Canelo Alvarez. Like, chill out. You know what I'm saying? Let these guys prove their worth. Jermell, he's a top fighter at 54. He won a vacant strap over bum-ass John Jackson. I mean, that's his reign. He has a good win over Lubin. Premature stoppage, but whatever. That's his best win to date. His most impressive win against a 18-0 prospect. But I like Lubin. I think he's a talented fighter. Let's see how his career pans out. Let's see if he can recover from that loss. But Jermell has never wowed me in his career. Jermell, I think he's a pretty good fighter. More explosive, bigger firepower. He's the real knockout artist when it comes to these twins. He's the bigger puncher. He's the guy that's bigger in size, much stronger, much better fighter, in my opinion. But he still has a lot to prove. But he has a stronger body of work compared to his brother, Jermell. He knocked out a defending champion. He didn't win no vacant strap. I mean, Babunges was 40 years old, but he knocked him out in 3 rounds. It was an impressive performance. Veteran guy, knocked him out within 3. That was impressive. Knocks out Wilkie Kempfert in full. Struggled with Trout, but I thought he squeaked it out. It was a good learning experience. Had an impressive knockout over Julian Williams, but I always thought Julian Williams was overhyped. And he was truly exposed in that fight. I mean, that dude got dropped by a jab, and he saw it coming. So he's definitely got a weak-ass chin. And then he had a really bad appearance, not his performance, but he had to fight this guy with one leg in Sebastian Highland. So their body of work is not very strong. Their best wins doesn't translate pound for pound or elite. It doesn't translate into them eventually being great fighters. Not yet. They still have a lot to prove. They need to beat much better fighters. There needs to be more definitive outcomes, more definitive results. I mean, Jermell, he could lose to Lara if he fights Lara. I mean, he was getting outboxed by John Jackson. So what could Lara do? A guy that runs around the ring and just jabs you and hits you with a straight left here and there. It's a terrible style to deal with. He doesn't engage. And Jermell was getting outboxed by John Jackson. And I hate fucking Lara. I think he's a bum-ass champion. But Jermell could definitely have trouble beating Lara. I'll be rooting for him if he ever does fight him. I'm not too sure he's really trying to fight Lara. He wants Jarrett Hurd. And I'm telling you right now, I'm going with Hurd in that fight. Hurd is the real knockout artist between the two. He's got the same amount of knockouts as Jermell, but with 9 less fights, only 21 fights. So who do you think's the bigger puncher? We'll wait and see if they ever fight. Jermall, he's going to have an interim title shot coming up. He's in a division where he's kind of boxed out. He's got to deal with a bunch of HBO fighters that are on the other side of the street. Let me figure out who he's going to fight. Sometimes I'm right, sometimes I'm wrong. I can get a good idea who's he going to fight, though. So, alright, WC rankings. He's number 1, interim title shot. Daniel Jacobs is fighting... What's his name? Damn, I forgot his name. He's fighting that dude, Luis Arias. There you go. He's fighting Arias, so he's not available. He's fighting in November. Dale Lemieux's fighting Billy Joe Saunders. Canelo's going to fight Triple G in a rematch. Derevyanchenko's in the IBF. He's going to wait for his title shot. Korobov. I can see Hugo Centeno being Jermall Charlo's next opponent for the interim title. It'll either be Centeno, maybe Antoine Douglas, maybe Andy Lee. But most likely Centeno, since he's a PBC fighter. That's possibly going to be his next opponent. And that's going to be his interim title shot for the interim strap, and he'll be waiting for the Canelo Triple G winner. And it remains to be seen if he's even going to be able to get that fight. It'll have to be a mandatory situation for that fight to happen. And Canelo still is not on great terms with WC. Not sure he's even going to fight for that title. And Gennady, Triple G, I don't see him winning that rematch. But hey, we'll see what happens. That's why you fight the fights. But, you know, these guys still have a lot to prove. I'm not going to call them elite just yet. Jermall, to me, is still much superior. I've been more impressed with his performances compared to Jermell. Jermell, he's got a tough style to deal with from Lara. And he hasn't really displayed my interest in fighting him. And Jarrett Hurd, he's a big dude who can punch, tough as nails, good gas tank, and he's only getting better with each fight. And he's the same age, in his prime, full of confidence. Keep doubting Jarrett Swift Hurd, y'all. Keep doubting him. But watch what happens to your boy if they ever fight. Watch what happens. But let's see how their career pans out. I wouldn't go overboard with the praise, though. You know, let these guys' careers materialize. Don't crown them elite just yet when their body of work is still lacking. There's still much to be desired in both guys' careers. And let's see if Jermell can prove me wrong. I don't think he's gonna be a great fighter. Jermall, if he can get a shot at Golovkin, maybe he can shock some people, because Golovkin's on a decline. It's gonna be downhill from here. Now that he's gonna be 36 years old next year, Golovkin's he is what he is now. He's not gonna get any better. He's peaked already. His peak was in 2014. And his performance have been dwindling ever since. Even if Golovkin fights Saunders at this point in time, say if they was to fight sometime next year and that he doesn't fight Canelo, I'm not even sure Golovkin can have an explosive performance against Saunders at this stage. So if Jermall was somehow to fight Golovkin sometime next year and say the Canelo fight doesn't happen, Jermall is going to be a very live dog in that fight, because he's a young guy, fresh, full of confidence, and Golovkin's performances are just on the decline. I don't see Golovkin having many more explosive performances at this stage, and I really don't see a move up to super middleweight anytime soon. He might as well stay at middleweight. But let's see how their career pans out for both fighters. There's still a lot to prove for both. Still a lot of fights out there to be made, and there's still a lot of accomplishments that need to be made for both fighters before we can call them elite. There's still a lot of stuff needs to be done before we can say Jamal beats Canelo. At this stage, nah, bro. I'm not saying it'll be an easy fight, but the difference between Jamal and Canelo is experience, quality of opposition, and defense. Jamal doesn't have a defense right now. It's not at the level of Canelo's, and that's the difference between them, between Canelo and the Charlo brothers. Canelo is just a much superior defensive fighter, better boxer, sharper. Canelo will make easy work of Jamal. Jamal will be tougher, but Jamal still needs some fine tuning. Still needs to develop a sharper defense so he doesn't get caught. Because I'm not sure how good Jamal chin is, because he hasn't really fought any big punchers. Not really. From his resume, no, he's never really fought a huge puncher. Jamal, we couldn't get a chance to find out because Lubin can punch, but unfortunately Harvey Dock waived the count at 6. Fucking asshole. But he hasn't really fought any big punchers outside of Lubin, and Lubin didn't really get a chance to clock him with anything really clean and big. It was a feel out round. But I'm not a biggest fan of Jamal, but I like Jamal. I like him better as a fighter. I like his personality better. I mean, these guys are different. They're twins, but they're not the same person. Jamal, he just kind of rubs me the wrong way for whatever reason. In his interviews and his antics, I'm just more of a fan of Jamal than Jamal, if that makes any sense to you. This is Boxing Truth. I'm out.